Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Wednesday in the Rib Hump Day and the day after a absolutely amazing city council meeting. Let's give a hand to some of the people on the school committee, on the city council, who actually stood up for the taxpayers last night. They said no to this debt override. They said enough is enough.
I know.
They can say what they want about us, but we give credit where credit is due.
That's
the
true.
fact is that they stood up. They grilled that edifice to sartorial splendor, Seth Akins.
Yeah.
And Bridget, and they exposed themselves again as the charlatans that they are. And we will get into the specifics, but I'll tell you, it was, and as I said, they say that, we don't like certain people. Well, that's personally, I don't like a lot of people. That's got nothing to do with the fact of how I judge them in their performance of their job. And Jeff, welcome, Jeff. Jeff made a presentation last night. Very good presentation about the taxpayers. But, I got to give Laura credit last night. She stood up for the taxpayers, and I actually walked up to her and thanked her. I said, Laura, thank you for recognizing the problems that the taxpayers of the city of Fall River have. And the rest of those people they really grilled them. And CJ, you can make an overall comment, then we can get down into specifics,
Well, I have to say, it was a rather interesting meeting because Bridget, being Bridget, was defending the mayor. And they would look for the smallest little thing on the Durfee debt exclusion. We were told 8 years and it wouldn't be on the back of the taxpayer anymore. It's already been longer than that. We were told that it would never be 100% on the taxpayer's back. It's this year, it's 100% the taxpayer. And then she said, well, I reviewed the historical tapes. And in reviewing those tapes, I found that we said that was only if we incurred no new debt, which is not possible. Yet, she has turned around numerous times saying we can't take out any debt until 2030 or 2033, whatever it was. So, which face are you talking out of now? And Seth Akins, when drilled hard enough, Seth Akins finally said, we don't know.
Listen, CJ, let me tell you something. Bridget, and she said it, I wasn't here. You're right, Bridget. You don't know anything about what happened. Paul Coogan, and we went to every single neighborhood meeting on the Durfee debt override with the opposing position. Paul Coogan said over and over and over again that we would never have the debt. By 23, the debt would be gone, the city could absorb it, and we were not going to pay 100%. There was never a mention of if we don't incur any further debt. And I went to an arbitration once where our attorney exposed the fact that the city added language to something that happened at a meeting to try to buttress their case. I don't even believe that language existed when we were discussing this. Okay? I think if it's there now, they stuck it in there. Because did you ever hear them say it's only if we incur additional debt, CJ? And you were at every meeting right alongside of me.
Nope. I was there and I argued it. And Paul was the one doing the lying.
That's right.
And, people keep saying, you don't like the mayor, you don't like the mayor, you don't like the mayor. It's not that we don't like the mayor. It's what the mayor does that we don't like. I could care less about the mayor personally, but what he does, I care about, and he lies. And as I said at my citizens input last night, this man cannot take no. And they even said it at the meeting yesterday. They said, well, if you shoot it down now, doesn't mean in a couple of months we won't bring it back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's
We can bring it back every year if we want. No is no. Get it through your thick skull.
The only good part about this is if they bring it back next year, we'll get it. We're going to make sure it gets shot down again, and then we'll have a new mayor, because Paul Coogan, if he runs or if he doesn't run, will not be the mayor again. The people are incensed with this stuff. 100% of the debt. If he was Pinocchio, his nose would be singeing itself on the sun, which is 93 million miles away. That's how long his nose would be. He is a pathological liar. Paul, the pathological prevaricator. He's like Joe Biden. Pathological liar. He's a mini Biden. All he does is spend and tax, just like Joe Biden. They lied their ass off, and neither of those clowns were here. CJ and I were up to our eyeballs in this the whole time. We took our time to go to every single meeting. I actually debated Paul on BCC about the debt, and on a video, he said it would be paid. And now we're paying 100%. He said we were going to pay zero. Zero. Now you're paying 100% of the debt. Just on that alone, he should be run out of this city on a rail.
And we have one now.
You know, and then their arguments for the debt override, they expose what clowns they are. Oh, put it in the hands of the people. Put it in the hands of the people. Oh, that's the Democratic way. No, yeah, put it in the hands of 15,000 people and lie to them. They couldn't even give the city council accurate numbers. Even Laura and the rest of the council saying, you can't give us any definitive answers. And you want us to assume this debt, with all the debt you've imposed on the taxpayers, you want us to assume this debt. They couldn't give you an answer. Oh, well, I don't want to give you a definitive answer on this. And then they start getting off on it with their, you know, like I said, that edifice to sartorial splendor with his clown showed his elite attitude. You know, he accused Michelle Dion, who was awesome last night. I've never seen, she always does a great job, but I'll tell you, she was well prepared. She called him out on an ordinance that he cited. And remember, he's supposed to be an attorney. He said, you know, when I went to court, I had to convince people. Well, that's basically admitting that you're trying to manipulate the thoughts of people to get them to get a verdict in your favor. So you're fundamentally lying to them. So you want to convince the people that assuming more debt is good. So number one, that's the first thing that's wrong. Number two, well, I won't be as discourteous as you were. It was a discourteous he used. I forgot the adjective he used. But whatever. To Michelle, because she rolled her eyes. Rolled her eyes. He just didn't like the line of questioning. He didn't like the line of questioning. She was pinning him down. She called him on an ordinance he cited. A lawyer cited an ordinance that wasn't applicable. They lied to you again. They ignore the law. And when I made my presentation, I went through a lot of things that they ignored, all the ordinances, state statutes. But he cited an ordinance that didn't apply. to try to buttress their case. That's lying. That's lying. Rolling your eyes, Michelle, roll your eyes. Oh, you know. And
He's lucky that's all she did.
listen, if I was there, I would have been throwing shit at him.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you know, listen, you can tell the way he listen, the way he dresses, you can tell he came from a nice rich town. If he grew up in Fall River and dressed like that, he would have got a beating every day. Because he would have got a dirty beating. I can see him walking in a Flint when I was growing up, dressed like Bozo the Clown. I mean, he would have caught all kinds of beatings. But this is Fall River, and they don't understand Fall River, and neither of them are going to pay a dime in this override or any of the taxes they've imposed. And they're always talking crap, and they're insulated from this. They don't live here. And he accused, well, I'm going to remind him of something. Maybe you don't realize that I got really good peripheral vision. I was making a presentation, I think it was on a retirement, and I saw you up in the audience making all kinds of faces at me. Because you didn't like what I was saying. Did I accuse you of being discourteous? No. Because that wasn't being discourteous. It's just being an asshole. Okay? So you were being an asshole because you didn't like what I was saying. So don't accuse somebody. You're projecting. You accused Michelle of being you. Because you do that too when you're not happy. Everybody does. When people are saying things you're not happy, you just go, oh, Jesus. You look up at the ceiling, you look down at the floor, you roll your eyes, you throw up, like I do sometime when I watch the council meetings. You got to drink Pepto-Bismol. A lot of things happen. But this guy, they were full of, they showed this financial team doesn't have a freaking clue about how to pay for anything except tax and spend. And then they said the magic word, CJ. Trash bag. Yep, purple bag. Trash fees. They're coming back. There we go. And remember what happened the last time a mayor said, I'm going to put in a trash fee. Like I said, listen, the destruction that Coogan has wreaked on this city, he will never win a re-election if he does run. This is and I said it last night at the council meeting. I've been doing this since 1981. I know the books. I know the numbers. I am not a casual observer of the budget and the city and the way it finances its things, because I've been intimately involved with it for decades. I have never seen this city right now is a disgrace the way it's being run. The man who wasn't good enough to run a school is now trying to run a city. And you know what you get for that? You get a Joe Biden in charge of Fall River. With that, CJ, back to you.
The interesting thing was every time they mentioned something that they would do, they said, now we're not saying we're going to do this. I don't want phone calls saying we're going to do this. That was always the thing. I don't want phone calls saying we're going to do this. Like cutting police and fire. Like cutting salaries. Like pay freezes. Like furloughs. Like trash fees. They said trash fees. We're not making that up. Watch the video. Ask some of our viewers, some that are on right now with us. They'll tell you, trash fee. And he said, I can't believe that something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, that the trash is free. We got rid of the commercial trash, and we have yet to see a benefit from that. I'm expecting it soon.
Yeah, after 4.5 years, they got rid of the commercial trash that they were picking up illegally. Yeah, exactly. There you go again. Again, all BS again, CJ, because you know what those are? I mean, I don't know. I don't know where he comes from. I know he's a lawyer. The way he dresses, I know he grew up in some place like really elitist. It's nice where they wore their polo shirts on and they had their Randy boat shoes on all the time.
He wasn't wearing boat shoes yesterday. I don't know.
Yeah, and their barracudas and stuff like that. But you know something? He thinks everybody in Fall River is stupid, and they're not. He looks down on everybody, and they both do. They think we're all rubes down here. Well, we're not. And, they give that tip. That's a veiled threat.
Yeah.
If you don't give me what I want, you might get a trash fee. If you don't give me what I want, we might cut fire and police. I'm not saying that, though. Don't call me up. I'm not saying we're going to do it. I just said, well, it could happen. Okay. That's not urinating on my leg and trying to convince me it's raining. It's defecating on my head and trying to convince me it's a mudslide. That's bullshit.
And you're not talking about the drink.
That's bullshit, okay?
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you what else pissed me off. He got on Michelle for something that he does routinely. I've seen him make all kinds of faces in that council chamber. So own it. Own it. He turned around and he said during that presentation, well, don't listen to those, that you don't have to listen to those people in the audience.
That pissed me off.
Yes, they do, shithead. We're taxpayers. You don't pay a dime in this city. You don't pay a dime.
No,
that was citizens' input from taxpayers. Taxpayers. CJ owns property. I own property. Nelson and Jeff both pay taxes indirectly because they pay rent. They are citizens of the city of Fall River. We had every right, and they're supposed to listen by law. You're supposed to be a lawyer. What did I start my presentation out with? The oath you swore to the Constitution. And what did I say? The Constitution clearly states that the city council are our substitutes and agents and answerable us to all at all times. They are legally mandated to listen to us. You must have been a real crappy lawyer. That's why you ended up working for the city. Because if you were a good lawyer, you'd still be practicing law. You wouldn't be running to the city for a job. So with that, CJ, back to you, because I'll tell you what, that was a great night. Because you know something, the citizens of Fall River they were protected last night. Those counselors brought up good points. They grilled them and they exposed them for what they are. You can't ever get a straight answer. Even Laura said, I don't even understand this. I don't understand. How do you expect people to understand a ballot? It's a big lie. And the thing is, it was a good night for government last night. They finally stood up and did something. Michelle always does it. And it was the best night I've ever seen Michelle prepared. She went up there. She went up there with a flashlight last night.
And she's always prepared. She's always prepared.
I mean, she was ultimately
But she was really good last night.
Yeah, when she cited that the ordinance wasn't applicable and she had it. I mean, that's good. But you know something? Everybody that, it's sad that we only had 4 people there, but those 4 people did some damage. And, people do get irate. And like I said, at the end of my presentation, I held up the purple shirt from the recall. Remember the purple bags, people, I told them. Remember 1995 when we bounced 5 councilors. Remember 2014 when we bounced the mayor. And with the purple shirt, I gave him a little prop last night. I showed him the purple shirt. And people are fed up. And I'll tell you what, these people are better start doing this on a regular basis because a year in November, they're all gonna go flying out the door.
Well, the thing that really upset me more than anything else about last night wasn't the city council, wasn't even Seth Akins or Bridget Almond. It was the fact that there was four people, four people who spoke out against new taxation. Four people. There was about, I would say, 6 or 7 other people in the chamber, but they weren't saying anything. They were sitting there. I don't know what they were there for. But 4 people were there to defend the rights of the taxpayer. 4 people. And that's why it's important for people to come out and get involved in city government. It's important for you to come out. I opened up my citizens input with a rebuke of something a city councilor did. I didn't call a city councilor out by name. I should have. I didn't call him out by name, though. And I said very clearly the reason why citizens can send their citizens input in writing is because of an agreement between the city of Fall River and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and me. I agreed to it to save the city legal fees, to save the city money. I don't have to save them money. That's not my job. Not my job, man. Not my job. You know what I mean? But I did, because I was thinking about the taxpayer, and I'm not an elected official. But I will say, the 3 tax hounds, 3 people, and one of them might surprise you, but 3 people who wanted taxes, Brad Kilby, Paul Hart, Linda Pereira. Remember those people when you go to the ballot box next time, because they want you to pay more taxes. And I got to give credit to Sean. Again, I have to give credit to Sean. I gave him credit last night. I'm going to give him credit again today. He turned around and he says, look, we as a city council, paraphrasing again, can't understand this question. And he read the question. He says, we don't understand it. How do you expect the average voter to understand it? He says, as a matter of fact, the people in general have no idea what a debt exclusion is. They don't know. And he's right. They don't know. And that's the problem. They don't know because they're not looking. And then when they go, as Sean said, when they go to the ballot box, what's going to happen is they're going to read the first line and say, the hell with this, I can't read it. And they're either going to say yes or no. So it's not even informed. And that's the problem. It won't even be informed. Is that how you want your taxes to be decided on? The first line that you can't understand? Is that how you want is that how you want your taxes to be decided upon by somebody that just doesn't know? The 15,000 people that might come out, if we're lucky. If we're lucky. We need to have a movement in this city. A movement to get your butts out to the polls. That's what has to happen. Well, and you know what? And you know what? Like Chip said last night, instead of bringing back trash fees, why don't you go into the 200 to 400 people you hired and get rid of them? Get rid of the people you hired with ARPA funds. There's places to start saving right there. And then Seth Akins had the audacity to say to the city council, we're running with the bare bones right now. Just look at the Bridget's department. They used to have plenty of people. Our mayor is only running with one secretary. One secretary. Brockton has 8. Oh, my heart bleeds.
You know, they always use those comparisons of cities but those cities are financially better off than we are. So they are making.
Because they know how to manage their money.
Because they know how to manage their money. They can have 8 secretaries. And that's the thing. Because secretaries don't get paid a lot of money. You see, that's where Akins thinks everybody's stupid. You know, the reality is that's always, they got so many people. Well, then nobody wants to work here, number one, because it's chaos. Secondly, they just, you can't get a straight answer. Even if the people could understand the question, even if the people knew what a debt override was, I would never vote for it, even if I thought we needed it, because the thing is that what Sean Kadim said yesterday, this city is proven every time they do this, it's a money grab, because we never get any definitive numbers, ever, on anything. And I said it in my presentation. We don't get any definitive numbers on how much money we spent on lawsuits. We don't know how much we're paying for Durfee. And we heard how many things that were lied about Durfee. It's going to be, you're never going to pay any of the debt. Now we're paying 100% of the debt. Paul Coogan. See, they can try to cover for the pathological prevaricator. But the problem is, we got witnesses. We got a video of the debate. He said it's going to be paid. Oh, what are you guys worried about? Not 23? Oh, by 23, it's going to, the city will absorb that easily. You're not going to be paying anything. We'll be able to do it. Oh, but at the bottom line, we said we're lying to you because it's predicated on we'll never spend another penny between now and 23. And she said, of course, that's impossible. Well, why did you make the promise in the first place? He made the promise to sell it. He made the promise to use Seth Atkins' thing to convince the people, like he does in court. Convince the people so they will rule in your favor. That's exactly what they're doing. Oh, there's a little tiny thing in print that you need a microscope to read. Oh, you guys didn't see that? Oh, we had both our fingers crossed and our toes crossed when we said it was going to be.
How about when they blame the city council? The school department approves these bonds and sends it over to you, and then you approve them. So what are we supposed to do? We have to pay them. Fine. Here's what I say. Don't approve another project for the school department. Let them find the money in their budget. They get millions of dollars a year from the state. That's what that 4% surtax is for education. Get that money. Use that. Don't come to the city and keep begging like $5 million for a field.
Yeah. No, you're right. And those two clowns, Kilby and Hart.
Well, Brad Kilby's the one that always goes to bat for all.
Brad Kilby has been an absolute political kiss ass since the day he was elected in every seat he ever occupied. School committee, city council. It's like he's the canned speech for the mayor. Turn it over to, and Linda, I know what Linda's going to do to pull out. Oh, I just wanted to let the people decide. No, you didn't, Linda. You didn't the mayor. It's that simple. The people decide. You tell me how many debt overrides have been defeated in cities like this. Almost none. Because just as you said, CJ, people don't understand a question. They listen to their bullshit, and after all these years, they're still listening. How many times do they have to lie to you? Last night proved categorically, whenever this financial team is pressed for numbers, they crumble like cookies. They make no sense. They never give you a definitive answer. I didn't get to the point where nobody ever asked me what was the difference between years ago and now, because you've been around life. You know why? Show me a night that we had a city administrator like Bob Connors or Jim Smith go in front of that council and not give a number. They always had numbers. You asked them, Connors told you it's going to cost $280,000 for that. Not, well, this is only for discussion. Well, it might cost this, but then again, it might not cost this, and I can't really give you an answer. Well, that's what you're getting paid to do, pal.
Well,
you're
you know
getting
what I thought was
paid to give the
interesting?
people answers.
Here's what I thought was
They
interesting.
proved it.
And Cliff said it clearly. He said, I wasn't on the council at the time, but I remember contracts coming before this council that were approved and no financial analysis was done. Bridget turned around and said, I always do a financial analysis. I attach it to the contract. And Sean said, I'm still waiting for it. And all of a sudden she backtracked it and she goes, well, I send it now. Yes, because you didn't send it then. But you're sending it now.
Yeah, after they make up shit because
that's right.
But I remember, and I said it at my presentation, I reminded Bridget of what her financial analysis was. We've got some investments down the road. That is not a revenue source. These people, this is the worst financial team I have ever seen. Listen, and it's because of Coogan. Coogan just spends so much money and they got no money to cover it, so they got to lie. Just like Mary Sahadi, when she said 45 million and the bill was 40 million. And when I sent the numbers in and they pressed her, she had to admit it. But at least Mary had the numbers. You would get a definitive number ultimately from Mary Sahadi if you pressed her. Because
whether you like it or not.
Numbers. But these people, everything is, maybe we got to see. And I'll tell you, Laura, again, good point. She said, they're all talking about Bridget making investments with the money and finally bringing money into the city. And I give credit like I did with Laura. I will give her credit for that. She's the first one after 40 years on the insurance end of the city, telling the city that you should keep the money at the end of the year that we have overages. Like last year, last 4 years, they've been 17.5 million under budget. Take some of that money and invest it so you can have money to defray costs on health care. But they never did. Kathy Ann got in front of council and said, how much you got in your account? Oh, 500,000. We had like 8 million. She should have triple that. Why not? Because they always spent it. They used it as a slush fund. She, to her credit, is investing some of that money now, and we're getting a return. But Laura hit it right on the head. She said, well, what are we investing it for and saving money for if not to use it? Let's use it to help the taxpayers in this situation. She was right. Sorry. When she's wrong, I'm calling her out. Like I always said, we call balls and strikes on this program. We call them like we see them. If they do something right, we will. But last night was a clear definition of the two sides of this city. You have the financial team, who you never get a straight answer from, who prove they lie, even introducing a law that didn't even apply to try to get their case and make their point, but they got called on it, thanks to Michelle. And you have the 6 counselors who stood up, made excellent points and observations. And the 3 bobbleheads who have never, ever opposed anything, especially from this man. Because I got the reports of Paul Hart standing next to him at the Maplewood Little League opening like a Siamese twin so he could get reelected to the city council. And ever since then, He virtually never talks, and when he does, it's like listening to Brad Kilby regurgitating again. And Brad Kilby, this is an observation of his political record. Since the day he was elected to the school committee, and every single day he's been on that council, he has been a nothing burger for the people of Fall River. He does not represent the people of Fall River, never did. He represents special interest groups. Like years ago today, he voted and advocated to spend $2 million or $1 million on an athletic field that's no longer there anymore, even though the city was in deep financial trouble. Because he invoked the kids, they got to have a nice field. Well, you know, when we grew up, we didn't have nice fields. We went down to a vacant lot, cleared it up, and played baseball. You know, it's more important to pay your bills. It's more important to give the taxpayers a break. But Brad has never been there. It's just an observation of his political career. It's been nothing more than selling his vote for political gain. He's always been in. Both of those guys should be out of there on a rail. And Linda,
Linda always votes for Linda. Linda always votes for Linda. And I'm going to say,
but in that case, CJ, she didn't, because she's got a lot of property. And if that thing goes through, she's going to get more taxes on her property. She voted, that vote was not to piss off the mayor. She wanted to show that she wanted to give him that money.
Right. I can believe that. But even last night, when they turned around and said that we're no longer going to pick up trash for properties that have 6 units or more, and Linda immediately chimed in and said, no, you mean more than 6, you mean 7 units. No, because Linda has a lot of 6-unit buildings. Okay?
Yeah.
And then she says, I don't want to receive phone calls. And then Seth goes, oh, yeah, that's right. It's 7 or more, because I don't want to receive phone calls either. You're going to get phone calls on the trash fee.
Yeah, the trash fee that you picked up private trash and we paid for 4.5 years.
That's right.
Yeah, they forgot to mention that little thing. We're stopping it. Well, you should have stopped it the day he got into office.
Right.
And I still want to know how those 200 plus people that we were picking up now during his administration that weren't there when he took over, how did they get on that list to get their trash picked up for free? Was it a political contribution? Was it a favor? I don't know. Just like the 22 windows. So you know what'll happen? Everybody will keep their mouth shut and they'll get pay raises like Kenny Pacheco over on the school side. He poisons the teachers, poisons the children, doesn't address a health hazard issue, and he gets a $15,000 pay raise. Welcome to Fall River. Keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, cover for the politicians, and you'll get a pay raise. And that's what happened. The 22 windows he covered up for, and then they had to get him out of town because that was a hot button issue. But he got up in front of the council and says, yeah, I know who did it, but I'm not going to tell you. Well, he should have been gone then.
That's right.
He should have said, you're out of here.
Yeah.
We're going to press charges against you for malfeasance, public malfeasance. But no, transfer him over to the school department and give him pay raises. And then that other obsequious political lackey, Tommy Corey, when they were giving him the $15,000 and Colin voted against it and Kevin Aguiar voted against it. I'm proud to cast my vote for Kenny Pacheco. He's a legend in his city. He's done such a wonderful job. Yeah, wonderful job of screwing the taxpayer. But then again, there's another guy that's been nothing but an obsequious political lackey his entire life. So this is what we got. And you know whose fault it is? The people who don't vote. The people who don't vote. He came back after covering up the Malone deal. He took a year off to let you forget, took a term off, and came back. Mimi Larrabee stayed on that council. Those people should never occupy a seat representing the taxpayers, because the minute their ass hits the seat, they're violating the oath that they took to be the representatives and agents of the people and be answerable to us, because all they ever do is cover up shit.
You know, I'm looking up a case law where a city rejected a school department budget and sent it back to them. I want to find that. And then I'm going to send that to every city councilor. Can you imagine what the Fall River School Department would do if the city council said, we're not funding it, and send it back? Can you imagine what they would do? You see, Paul, just so you know, Mr. Dictator, giving pay raises is not saving money. Giving pay raises is paying off your friends, paying off the unions, paying off your brother. That's what giving pay raises is. That's what bouncing these contracts up so that everybody gets something except for the taxpayers. Okay? That's what you do, Paul. That's what you do. Ken Pacheco did not deserve a pay raise for any reason. For any reason. And if I could fire Tom Corey and Ken Pacheco at the same time, I would. I would. There was once a time when I had a lot of respect for Ken Pacheco. But when he knew about the 22 windows, I lost all respect for him. I lost all respect for him.
Let me just talk about what Linda just posted about her being, made fun of. Look, this is the problem we have in Fall River. We elect these elitists who look down on people, but now we see the new vice presidential nominee in the Republican Party, a man who grew up with a abusive father who left and went to jail, a mother who was drug addicted, was raised by his grandmother. Grandmother had to bargain with Meals on Wheels to try to get food sometime. Grew up dirt poor and went in the Marine Corps, served his country, served in Iraq, came out, went to Ohio State University, then went to Yale Law School. And unlike Joe Biden, who said he was at the top of his class, he's at the bottom, he graduated at the top of his class. And Linda, be proud of what you did. You brought up a family and you found a way to do it. Rich assholes don't have to do that. They just can buy everything to make their life easier. And I'll tell you something, be proud of what you did. And my father and mother both lived through the Depression, where a lot of people were very, very poor. And you know what they told me? And I'll never forget it. They said, listen, you may not have the best clothes in the world. He said, you may not have new clothes, but soap is cheap and you can have clean clothes. And that's all you got to do. You took care of your children. Be proud of what you did. You did a lot more than those losers that were making fun of you, because it's easy. It's easy. Life is easy when you're rich. I don't care what they say. It is. Martha's Vineyard didn't want the illegals. They said they loved them. When they got to Martha's Vineyard, they booted them out. Oh, not yeah. Don't let these people near us. We might get some kind of disease. They're poor. We don't like poor people. See, when you're rich, you can just call the nanny, call your gardener, go to Gucci to shop for your clothes, send your kid to a private school to get educated when Durfee doesn't educate their kids, our kids. Their life is easy. That's why it's up to people like us, and there are more people like us, to vote these people out and put people in. And, I'm glad to see somebody like J.D. Vance on a ticket, because he is a true American story. a kid that came from nothing and became a successful businessman, and now he's a vice presidential nominee. That's what makes America great, the working people. And that's why I fight all the time for these people, because I know my mother worked 55 years in a sweatshop. 55 years in a sweatshop. And my father laid all the curb between Fall River and New Bedford on the road. My father worked as a laborer and worked as a machinist. Blue collar jobs. They worked every day. They worked till they were well into their 60s, nearly 70. But they provided me with food, clothes, not from Gucci either. But these are the people that made America, not the rich a-holes that are sitting up on their porches smoking cigars, watching the people working for peanuts in the mills and taking advantage of it. That's why we've got to stay together. We've got to stay together and vote these bums out. In this November, let's clean house. And the November after that, any city council that doesn't stand up for you, stand up for the regular people in Fall River. And like I said yesterday, average per capita income in this city is $30,560 something, I believe. But that's why I wrote it down. I wanted it the exact out. It's like 30,000. Household income, 52. The average per capita income in Massachusetts is over the household income in Fall River. And there are 19.3% of the people in Massachusetts that make over $200,000. We have a poverty rate of 19.7. So we have as many people, it shows that's 1/5 of the population of this city. Approximately 1/5 of the people in this city are living in poverty. And 1/5 of the people in Massachusetts are living large because they're making in excess of $200,000 a year. You know why this is a blue state? You know why we're giving everything to illegals while we're letting veterans sleep in the street? And the taxpayers getting hit for everything? It's because of this state. It's run by elitists. And it's whose fault is it? The people of Massachusetts. They keep electing these yo-yos. With that, CJ, back to you.
It's always something that we hate to talk about, and we shouldn't have to, which is low voter turnout. And when people start realizing that it shouldn't just be a right or a privilege, it should be mandated that they have to go out and vote so that they can take a part in their government.
You're right. It should be an obligation.
That's right.
Should be an obligation. And I got to add one thing. I got to remember the F-bomb that Nelson dropped, and Joe flipped out and gavelled him out and threw him out and said he could never come back. That's not true, Joe. The Supreme Court decision by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts said that in that chamber, when they're talking to politicians, they can even be vulgar.
That's right.
I will pull that opinion and I'll read it on the next show. I'm not saying it was right. I'm sure that it was a Freudian slip. He was
emotional.
He said, he was passionate about what he was saying. He was talking about how bad the people were getting screwed. He probably would have opted for screwed if he wasn't so heated, but he got so amped up. He said what we would say out in the street, they got effed. So the problem is that it was a slip. Nelson's presented many times in front of that council and never done that before. But if Joe thinks he's going to keep him out on that technicality, you better be careful, Joe. You're violating the Supreme Court decision. The school committee and the council have been slapped on a PP a few times by the legal system, and you were one of them who slapped them on a PP with the voting, with sending in your citizens' input by mail.
Right.
And you notice when you made that statement, you didn't hear a peep back from the barrister, did you?
No, it did not.
Nothing, just crickets.
Yep.
Crickets. Crickets. That was it. It was
That's
nice that you were there to put him in his place. And I mean, look, you knew that was just a shot at you because he knew damn well that you wrote that letter.
That's right.
When he read it, he knew it was you. Just like when
That's
I
right.
write one, they know who wrote it. But it was they went down there and gave him a little slap upside the head into reality.
That's it.
He
That's
said
it.
people are afraid to come down. The last thing we are is afraid.
That's true. You don't want us to come down.
That's
It's more
right.
like
That's
it.
exactly right. When we walk in and go, ah, oh, geez, here they are again. What are they going to do now?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and definitely hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Friday. Have a great day. Stay hydrated. It's going to be hot out there.